My favorite fighter, Jake Paul, wins by TKO victory over Mike Perry to improve to 10-1. My favorite fighter, Jake Paul, is the greatest showman in boxing right now. Ain't nobody doing it better than Jake Paul, man. Let's get to it. Jake Paul puts on a great performance for the crowd. I mean, gassed out a bit, you know, dropped the dude 3 times, and they were saying that this guy was gonna knock out Jake Paul. I don't think so. Now Jake Paul goes into the ring. Obviously he has a fight on Netflix coming up in November against the Iron Mike Tyson. The the Iron Mike Tyson. Yes, I said it at 58 years old. Iron Mike Tyson will be getting in the ring with this young prime Jake Paul. Now Jake Paul is they were calling him crazy to take on an opponent of this magnitude. They thought that this guy was gonna bring a lot to the table. They thought that Jake Paul was gonna take, either he was gonna win, but he was gonna take he was gonna take a brutal fight. You know what I'm saying, with a dude that could punch. But when the guy got in the ring, he was just outclassed. He was smaller than Jake Paul, obviously, and he didn't have no boxing skill. He was a tough son of a gun. You know what I'm saying? I can't take that away from Mike Perry. This is my first time ever hearing about this guy, but this guy could take a punch for sure. I mean, he got hit with everything. In the first round, he does get caught off balance and does get clipped, but it wasn't something that knocked him off his knocked him off to totally. But then Jake Paul knocks him down again later on in the fight, and it was just like, damn. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, damn. And it was gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? It was gonna happen. Jake Paul obviously was catching him with big shots. The jab was there. He started with going to the body. He didn't stick to it though, but he was jabbing very well. He was making him look like he was gonna throw the overhand right and then just throwing the quick left. You know what I'm saying? Catching Mike Perry. Mike Perry was just straight up. You know what I mean? Straight up. Didn't have no bend on his knee. Didn't have no skill set for real. He was just coming forward. He thought he was gonna go into a brawl. He thought it was gonna be more of being in the pocket type of fight. But Jake Paul has transitioned as a fighter. He's not really in the pocket anymore. He does gas out, which is one of the things critiques that Jake Paul really does have, is he gasses out pretty fast. And with gassing out pretty fast, if you're fighting a very well conditioned fighter and you cannot hurt that fighter, it's gonna kill you in the long run. But I thought that Jake Paul ultimately, to improve to 10-1, he did a great job. You know what I'm saying? Jabbing, the jab was, I mean, it was great. He was setting him up with the jab. He was throwing very good shots. Uh and I thought he did a great job tonight. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people, obviously don't like Jake Paul. They say Jake Paul is not a boxer. They say this, they say that, but Jake Paul is a fighter. You know what I'm saying? And he's the greatest showman in boxing right now. It's time for people to start giving Jake Paul credit. He puts himself in the lab. You know what I mean? He's disciplined. He be training out in Puerto Rico. He really lives a fighter's lifestyle. That's what he's really been becoming. He's really been living a fighter's lifestyle, which a lot of these fighters don't even live fighters' lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? And they've been doing this since they were kids. Jake Paul got into the sport very late, and he's been learning a lot. And you could tell he's still a little shaky here and there. He still has things that he needs to work on. And that's, of course, because he does come from a combat background, but he doesn't come from a boxing background. You know what I'm saying? So the footwork is not all the way there. It's not very educated. A lot of the things he does aren't very educated, but you could tell that he's becoming more educated. You know what I'm saying? Credit to him on 11 fights and 10 victories, and he's improving day by day. You know what I'm saying? Fight by fight. You know what I mean? He's improving. Now I don't know if he's gonna knock out no Mike Tyson. I don't really think that they're gonna allow nothing like that to really go on. But it's a fun fight. It's a fan friendly fight. You know what I'm saying? Get to see a 50-year-old Mike. You know what I mean? I don't think that Mike's gonna go in there trying to rip this kid's head off. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that he's really that volatile or that crazy, to try to do such a thing. But in my opinion, Jake Paul is starting to become better and better for boxing. He's not this guy that a lot of people are shunning, or are trying to say that he's not a fighter and this and that, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I think that they just don't like the hype that Jake Paul really has around him. And I think that's the thing. They don't like the hype that Jake Paul brings around him. They don't like the fact that Jake Paul really doesn't come from that type of, what I'm saying, in the hood all day, and then he comes into the sport of boxing, and this he's rich and he doesn't really need to be boxing and this and that. Yeah, I said it. That's what a lot of people don't like about Jake Paul. But let's be honest, this kid, he has 11 fights, he has 10 victories, and I believe he has 7 knockouts. You know what I'm saying? Now a lot of people saying, oh, well, but he's fighting this and he's fighting that. Your favorite fighter fought 30 bums before he got to one decent fighter. You know what I'm saying? 30 cab drivers before he got into one decent fight. One thing about Jake Paul's resume, he's been fighting UFC fighters, right? We can all say he's been fighting UFC fighters, and when he fought one boxer in Tommy Fury, he lost. But did he really look outmatched in that fight against Tommy Fury? I don't think he did. He didn't look too far off, and he's only getting better and better fight by fight. So credit to Jake Paul, man. I think that he's good for boxing. I don't see what the hype is about, that these people want to be crying about. Oh no, he's not in boxing, this and that. Listen, man. One thing about Jake Paul too, he's getting fighters that are getting overlooked or getting underpaid, paid. You know what I'm saying? Look at Jay Leon Love. You know what I'm saying? He in the corner. Look at Amanda Serrano. She's a millionaire. When in the hell were you ever going to see a woman fighter become a millionaire? Never in 100 years. I think that he's good for the sport. I think that he's doing really good things. His thing is, he's not trying to he force himself into too much into boxing. I feel like, you know what I'm saying, he's still fighting professional fighters. Yeah, they might not have the outstanding skill set that a real fighter might have, you know what I mean, might not have all of that, you know what I'm saying, but this dude could crack, and that makes for entertainment. You know what I'm saying? So credit to Jake Paul, man, on his victory tonight. I thought it was a pretty decent performance, you know what I mean. He said he was sick, he said his knuckle was messed up and this and that. Um and at the end of the day, Mike Perry was just a tough dude, man. He got hit with big shots and got right back up. You know what I'm saying? Got right back up. And even when his equilibrium looked like it was all out of whack, you know what I'm saying? He was still recover. Like this dude was a tough guy. You know what I mean? He's no he's not new to no beating. You know what I'm saying? I think that that's what I'm trying to say. He's not new to a beating. You know what I mean? I think that he's fought what, BKFC. Come on now, that's bare knuckle fighting. But obviously in boxing is different. You got to develop a jab. You can't stand straight up in the air. You know what I'm saying? In front of your opponent, you got to throw some feints. You got to do a lot of things. There's a lot of steps inside of that ring, and for you to execute, you have to be perfect. And I think that obviously Mike Perry doesn't come from a boxing background, but a boxing is a very tough skill set to obtain. And that's why you see a lot of UFC fighters go into boxing and really don't put on a great performance or don't do a lot of things very good inside of the ring, because of the fact that they think that they're just going in there to really brawl. And then you can see Mike Perry, he's really just following Jake Paul around the ring, really not understanding what cutting off the ring really is. So his footwork is just all out of whack. He has no bend in his knees. He has no feints. He has no jab. He has nothing except for a shot that he's waiting on to take. And Jake Paul, being educated enough, He's not allowing that to happen. He's moving laterally. He's moving around. You know what I'm saying? He's very fast. He's much faster than him, at least, right? He was faster, he was stronger, he did a lot of things, you know what I'm saying, that are gonna be able to prepare him for a guy like Mike Tyson, right? If we I mean, we all think that that's a pretty crazy fight, but for Mike Tyson. But Jake Paul, obviously, one thing that I really did see was just working on that stamina. You know what I mean? Getting an inhaler, getting that athletic inhaler, man. Get that inhaler. You know what I'm saying? Tell him it's doctor prescribed. You gotta take that shit in between rounds. You know what I mean? Because his gas tank is ass cheeks. You know what I'm saying? Luckily, his power does carry, and that's what got him the victory. But his gas tank is nowhere near there. You know, he started to get caught with a couple shots here and there. But even when he started clinching, his clinch game got to be better. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't, but I mean, to be honest, was his clinch game that bad? Not really, because he would clinch to get off of him, and then they'll reset and go at it again. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't like, and it wasn't excessive. It was just when needed. You know what I mean? And those are great attributes to fighters. There's fighters that abuse and access the clinch, and they just want to clinch the whole fight. They just want to throw one punch and then they go in for the clinch so that you have no zero offense, and they can just cry about how they got robbed. And nah, this is bullshit. You know what I'm saying? So they teaching Jake Paul right. Jake Paul's doing the right thing, you know what I'm saying? And he's living that fighter's lifestyle. When I say he's living that fighter's lifestyle, he's in Puerto Rico, man, and he's living life. You know what I mean? So in my opinion, Jake Paul is a good fighter, man. You know what I'm saying? I can't wait to see more fights. And obviously November, Netflix. You don't want to miss it. Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson, Iron Mike Tyson. Yes, I said it. At 58 years old, he will be fighting a young prime fighter. You know what I mean? But that's a hell of a resume for Jake Paul. You know what I'm saying? You got these UFC fighters that a lot of people ain't even heard of, and then you go back and watch these dudes fight inside of an octagon, and these dudes are fucking beasts. You know what I mean? And they come from combat backgrounds. You know what I'm saying? Combat backgrounds might not be hand to hand type of combat background, but these dudes could go. You know what I'm saying? They just stand straight up in the air though. You know what I mean? And they're very easy to hit, especially when you're trying to see. But I wonder if that's gonna be something negative in Jake Paul's career, because when you do have a fighter that does know how to fucking, at least a sense of how to cut off a ring, or understand that they got to do this in order for them to win, and when they start executing that, how is Jake Paul going to adjust? There's a lot of questions in the air. He's only 11 fights in. He only has 10 victories. So there's a lot of questions in the air for Jake Paul, of course. For Mike Perry, I'm sure he goes back to what he was doing, BKFC, that bare knuckle fighting. Um, but you know, ultimately, Amanda Serrano got a knockout from over what, she didn't have a knockout in over 3 years. So also the Katie Taylor fight, uh, Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano in November again. Then that crazy ass fight from the Canadian and the dude, man, Sly or Psych or whatever the hell his name is, man. What a combination! That is a knockout of the year. That's a knockout of the year performance right there. I mean, that was just a beauty, a beauty. The dude hits him with a right, catches dude, then he hits him with another right, and then a quick left hook to end the knife form. I mean, it was just a beautiful knockout. And it looked like he was losing the fight. You know what I'm saying? But that's boxing for you. One punch could change the whole fight. You know what I'm saying? But what a knockout. What a knockout. I even heard Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Was in the undercard as well. He got a victory, a decision. They said it was a lackluster performance. I did not watch the fight myself, but Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Still fighting is pretty crazy. You know what I'm saying? Chavez Jr. Still fighting? Come on, brother. You got to give it up, man. I know the money. I know you need that money, but it just makes zero sense why Chavez Jr. is still fighting. You know what I mean? If I was Chavez Senior, I would not allow that motherfucker to fight. You know what I mean? I'd be like, bro, go sit your ass out somewhere. You know what I'm saying? But he beat a guy named Uriah Hall, you know, and potentially that could be a fight for Jake Paul. A guy like Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., who really doesn't have too much in the sport of boxing, who's nearly not that great, you know what I mean, who has shown his ass in the sport of boxing. But like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification if you want to be notified, man. Let me know what you thought about this fight down in the comment section, down in the comments below. Tell me what you thought about this fight. Tell me if Jake Paul is a real boxer or is he's an imitator. Tell me what you think about Jake Paul, man. We out. Peace.